Alright, so once we know if the two data or the bivariate data is correlated, then we can draw the straight line, right? And that line is actually called a least square regression line. And it's just basically a line of best fit. And because it's a straight line equation, it's in the form y is a plus bx. Okay, so where x is the independent variable, y is the dependent variable. Now, just some common definitions. They'll ask you, what does the b represent? Or you just say the change in y for one unit change in x. I.e., if I change x by 1, how much will y increase by? It's also known, you can think of it like the gradient, right? And they might say, what is this a value? Then you just say the initial value of y. Because if I put x is 0, then that's what the value at y is going to start off at. Okay, so it's just some common definitions of what a and b are. And that's what a common question is. They say, oh, interpret a and b. So a more formal definition would be, well, for b, it would be the independent variable will increase or decrease depending on the b value, right? If the b is negative, then it's going to decrease. So the independent variable would increase / decrease by the amount b if the dependent variable was increased by 1, okay? And what's a? Well, a is just the initial value of the independent variable. So I've written it as like underlined because it depends, because they'll change up the independent and dependent variables. Just be aware of what the variables are in the question. Another common question is the value reliable? What we mean by this is, well, with the least square regression line, what I can do is now find certain values of x, for y, when certain values of x. So for example, if I have this x value here, let's call it x1. Then if I go up here and go across, then this will give me my y1 value, and I can work out the y1 value. However, if I want to find value for x2 here, or like x3 here, then I would have to extend this graph here, right? Like this. And then I would go up like so, and then go across to find my y3 value in this case, and my y2 value in this case here. Now, not all of these are going to be reliable, because the fact is we drew the straight line equation graph based upon the points we plotted, right? And the points we plotted only go from here to here. So even though we can imagine or assume that it's going to be a straight line past these points here or further down here, we can't be 100% correct or 100% certain about that, right? So for x2 and x3, actually, these are going to be unreliable, because we have to extrapolate, meaning that we have to extend the graph further out and assume that it's a straight line equation. It might not be a straight line graph right past these points outside the best fit line. Whereas x1 is going to be reliable because it's within the data set, right? It's within the range. And so we can say that we can interpolate. So this would be a exam mark or exam type of question, and the way you'd have to go about answering it. That's the only two really important key points that you need to be aware of this regression line here.